Hey, what's up, Facebook Live? Hey, Hot Pursuit Nation. How you doing? Ooh, happy Thursday. For some of you, I guess it might not be Thursday, wherever you are in the world. I know we have people all over the world that are in this group, so super excited to connect with you guys all today. As you're hopping on, hey, Nina, as you're hopping on, go ahead and just plop in your comments where you are connecting from. It's always great to just kind of see how we all connect from all over the world and how we all share this common passion and purpose for serving people through our coaching, our training, our speaking. So go ahead and pop. Oh, I see lots of you jumping on. Hey, Nina, Anna. Hey, Rosalind. Hey, Morella. Yay, I'm so glad you're here live as well. I know that time change messes things up. I have a client or a mastermind partner, a accountability partner, and she's in Germany, and we meet every single week. Well, we had our time change, and she didn't have a time change, and I was an hour early waiting for her, wondering what was going on. Meanwhile, she was, wondering what my problem was, why I was trying to get a hold of her so early. So anyways, sorry if there was any confusion for anybody regarding any time change difference for you. Hey, Erin, great to have you on. Okay, so let's jump in today. Like I said, as you're jumping on, go ahead, comment below where you are connecting from. Like I said, I love just seeing how we are all connected throughout the world, and we share this common purpose for coaching, training, and speaking. So, okay. So today, we have a fun topic today, and we have lots to cover. So, and I got to keep an eye on the clock because I have a client in 1 hour, so can't go over. So this will not be longer than an hour. Hopefully I'll give you lots of good stuff in less than an hour. So today I want to talk to you about creating transformational workshops. And I'm going to share with you what my 3-step process is and how I go about doing that and how I break down my workshops so that I ensure I'm very intentional and deliberate about creating a truly transformational workshop. Not just a workshop where, I've been to workshops, I'm sure you have as well. I used to call myself like a seminar junkie, a workshop junkie. And I love them, but I've been to enough to know the difference between one that's just a lecture of content, and sometimes very good content at that, versus ones that are truly transformational, ones that truly alter the way I think, I believe, and how I show up and how I take action in the world. Ones that are truly life-altering, that I'm no longer the same person that I was when I walked in the door than from when I walked out of the door. And that's truly what I have a passion and a heart for, is how do I create these transformational workshops, transformational experiences for my clients so that they're truly life-altering, that they no longer think the same things, believe the same things, feel the same way, but rather there's truly been an internal shift, and they are now stepping into and being a fuller, more expansive expression of who they really are, of what they're truly capable of. They're stepping into, even more so, their true potential. So that's my intention. That's really my goal whenever I set out to write. And it's, we're focusing on workshops in this lesson, but really when I do anything, any teaching, anything, it's really about creating transformational change, not just, hey, I know some really cool information and some really cool stuff. Let me share it with you. There's so much more that we can do with really cool stuff and really cool information. And I would assume that you agree. Give me a thumbs up if you agree. It's not just about some good content. It's really creating transformational change. Give me a couple hearts for that. Okay, so let's jump into the 3 steps. Okay, so I'm going to be referring to my notes, but I'm going to give you all of my notes. I'm going to give you this. It's just a 2-page worksheet, and it's really just a template or checklist that you can use also. If you like what I shared today, I'll give you the template, and then you'll get pretty much a copy of my notes here of what I do and the checklist that I use when I'm creating content or creating a workshop. Okay, so number one is to decide what you're going to teach. So number 1 is the content. You do have to decide, okay, in your workshop, what's it going to be about? And here's the question that I want you to ask yourself, and it is to, or question or what you need to do is to identify, or I guess you could ask it as a question, is what is the transformational outcome that I want my participants to have and walk away with from my workshop? What's the transformational outcome? Okay, so what's the promise going to be that you want your participants to have when they go through your workshop? Transformational outcome. And here's just some things that you can ask yourself regarding, okay, what's a transformational outcome? Like I said, I feel a transformational workshop or transformational outcome is something there's going to be a shift. There's going to be a shift in how somebody thinks, feels, believes, and acts. So what's the transformational shift or outcome that you want your clients or participants to have after your workshop? I want them to think this. I want them to feel this. I want them to believe this. And I want them to take action on this. So those are kind of the 4 ways that I determine what is the transformational outcome. What are they going to think, feel, believe, and do differently because of the workshop? You know, when I first started my company, Extreme Results, my tagline was helping you think differently so you can do differently. Because to me, that's what transformation is all about. It's helping somebody think differently, which is going to help them feel differently and ultimately believe differently and therefore do differently. And we all know that that's the only way to create change is you got to do something different than you're doing today. What you're doing today isn't going to get you to where you want to be. So that's what we're helping our clients with, right? Our coaching clients and now, our workshop participants is that we're helping them really create this transformational shift or change in how they think, feel, believe, and do. Okay? So you got to ask yourself those questions before you put your workshop together and before you put the modules and the exercises. And I always hear people asking questions about, well, what exercise could I add to this, workshop or this or that? And I just think it's kind of a little bit of a backwards question because you first have to ask yourself, what is the transformational change or shift, transformational outcome that you want that exercise to have? What is the shift in thinking, feeling, believing, and doing that you want that exercise to create? So just make sure that at the core and the foundation of you designing your workshop, that's at the core. What I believe so strongly is that if they don't have a transformational shift, it becomes what I call shelf help. I'm sure you've heard the term before, shelf help, where, they might go to your workshop, they might get some really great content from you, but then they just get that workbook and they put it on the shelf. They get your materials and they put them in the drawer and they're never to be seen again until they have some spring cleaning and, then maybe it hits the shredder after that. So, sorry, I'm going to kind of check my notes here or your comments here as I'm talking. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. Yes, thank you, Chris. Yes, for putting that question in there. Yes, I always love you guys. You guys are so great with just kind of capturing and summarizing some of my points here. So that's number 1. Identify or ask yourself, what is the transformational outcome I want my participants to walk away with from my workshop? Think, feel, believe, and do differently. Okay, sorry, I was going to go on, but I need to spend a little bit more time here because it's so important. Okay. If your workshop does not challenge them to reevaluate how they currently think, feel, believe, and what they're currently doing, they're not going to do anything differently. So your workshop needs to help them identify. So you're going to be showing them this new way, but they have to identify where they need to make change. They need to be able to identify what I call their BS, which is their bogus stories. Their bogus stories, keep it clean, kids. Keep it clean. I know where your mind was going. Yes, no, BS is bogus stories. So they need to identify we need to help them identify what are their bogus stories, the things that they're currently thinking that's not serving them, how they're currently feeling that's not serving them, what they're currently believing that's not serving them, what they're currently doing that's not serving them. And then when we can help introduce a new way of thinking, a new way of feeling, believing, and doing, we help them bridge that gap from where they are to where they want to be, is we have to help them destroy their BS, their bogus stories that are holding them back, keeping them stuck, and keeping them, where they are. Usually they come to your workshop because they want change. They want to go from A to B. And so we need to help them do that. And that's where the transformation takes place. But we have to help them also, I say destroy, destroy their bogus stories that aren't serving them. Okay, so that's just another piece. Okay, we want to keep the end in mind. Here's where we're taking them. This is the outcome of the transformation. But we also need to know what their starting point is when they come into the workshop. What is their starting point so that we can help take them over and to, bridge over to that transformation. There's a workshop that I do. It's called Blueprint for Success. And that's really one of the most powerful parts of this workshop is we have a whole section called Destroy Your BS. It's all about destroying the bogus stories that aren't serving you. They're getting in your way. They're holding you back. They're keeping you stuck. So just make sure that your workshop has, now you don't have to call it bogus stories. You don't have to call it BS. You don't have to call it, anything like that. But making sure that you are helping bridge that gap from where they are to where they want to be. Make sense? Okay. What is Roseanne saying? I'm unable to access the teaching. I'm not sure which teaching you're talking about, because if you're on here and you're commenting, I think you're here. Okay. Okay. If anyone else is having difficulty seeing or connecting or whatever, please comment below. Let me know if I'm having other challenges that I'm not aware of. Okay, so we're still on number one. Number two, now once we identify what is the outcome, the transformational outcome of they're going to think, feel, believe, and do, what their starting point is, how we're going to bridge them over there. But that's now the question for number two is how long is it going to take for me to accomplish that? Who's calling me now? Let me turn it up. Okay, sorry about that. Of course, they always have to call at the worst times. Okay, so number two is how long is it going to take for me to accomplish that transformational outcome for my clients or for my participants? Being your most efficient and effective, how long is it going to take you to take them from A to B? Okay, so this could be an hour, it could be 4 hours, it could be a full day, it could be 2 days, it could be 7 days. Like how long, if you have this specific outcome that you've identified, that transformational outcome that you want for your clients, how long does it take you to get them to that point? And like I said, there could be 1 hour, 4 hours, half a day, full day, 2 days, a whole week, whatever. But now you have to decide how long, in your most efficient and effective way, how long is it going to take you? Because that's going to help you determine then how long is your workshop. One of my pet peeves is going to a workshop that is a couple hours that should really be a couple days. That's where we feel like you trying to shove 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. That's when we feel like that fire hose, we're drinking from a fire hose. Now there's some value to that because I think that, immersion, I do believe in immersion where you just kind of immerse somebody into this new idea, this new way of thinking, this new way of believing, and this new content, new knowledge. And for many people that can be overwhelming in and of itself. But it's kind of like, I don't know if this is a good analogy or not, but like if you're trying to learn French, like if that's the outcome, the transformational outcome is to learn a new language, to learn French, like to really truly be able to do that, even if you were to immerse somebody in France, they're probably not going to be able to actually do that. I don't know, maybe at least a month, I would think, even if they're immersed in it full time, living, breathing it, eating it, it's still probably going to take like a month to learn a new language. At least, right? I mean, at least. You think how long it takes us just to learn it as a kid. So, but that's the whole idea, that even if you were to immerse them into what you're teaching them, how long is it going to take for it to really stick, for there really to be a transformation? Okay, so that's number two, is you got to determine how long. Number three, then, is once you determine what's the transformational outcome, how long it takes you to get them to that outcome, now we have to design the teaching, or, design the day. Well, number 2 is actually design the day, but here's where we're designing the teaching of how we deliver the content. And I use just a simple model. It's called Peru, P-E-R-U. It's an acronym for those of you who like Peru or from Peru. It'll be really easy for you to remember. But here's basically what the acronym means or stands for. So the P is present. P is for present. E is examples. I'm going to give some examples. R is you're going to recap. And then U is use. What does it look like to use it? Okay, so now let me go through each of those in more detail. So P for present. Here is, you're going to teach content that expands their awareness. It gives them additional information, knowledge, right? All while challenging those limiting beliefs, those false beliefs, remember, the BS, the bogus stories. So you're going to present information. You're going to present, content, information that expands their knowledge, expands their awareness, and challenges their limiting beliefs, false beliefs, bogus stories, whatever you want to call them. Okay? After you deliver that information, then you want to give an example. That's the E. Give an example. Give something more relatable. Make it real and tangible, because the more we give stories and examples, the more the participant is going to see themselves in the teaching. It makes that knowledge of the information more real to them. It makes it more tangible. It makes them see themselves in it, and therefore see that, wait a minute, maybe that can be true for me too. Maybe I can make that change in my life too. Maybe this is possible. And so the more stories and examples that are relatable, that help make the information not just like textbook information, but rather it really helps bridge that gap of making it something real that they can apply into their life. That's really what we want to be able to capture. So that's the E is examples. Then R is to recap. And so a lot of times, we have so much information, and sometimes it's the first time they're hearing it. Sometimes it's not. But we want to then kind of recap what we just shared, because the next one is the U, because now we're going to ask them to actually use it. We're going to actually ask them to apply it. Now here's another pet peeve that I have. Is going to a workshop that doesn't have like hands-on exercises, that doesn't in the moment have me apply what you just taught me. Like, I don't get me wrong, I'm also a learning junkie. I love to read. I love to go to workshops and seminars. I love to just learn and even like listen to podcasts and CDs and whatnot. But you and I know, and I'm going to guess you're kind of like me, maybe. Give me a thumbs up if you are like me, that you'll hear something really good and you'll be like, wow, that's really good. Yeah, I should really go do that. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. And then I don't get to it, because I just have so much other things going on. And in a workshop, I really believe that workshop means that you put your participants to work. You really want them to experience your content and make it real, versus just having it be some theory or concept, but it's really something that they can use and apply in their life and in their business, their careers. And so however you can do that, the more you can do that actually is going to really close the gap between just something they know, and close the gap between what they know and what they do, and you bring those two together. That's the sweet spot, is really when you get them applying it. Now here's another part that's going to help anchor that teaching that you just presented. I like to use, so like in my Blueprint for Success workshop, I have a workbook, and so we're going through the workshop. They're doing exercises all day long, really. I mean, it's a very highly interactive, hands-on workshop. It's definitely a workshop. But here's the thing. I have a workbook. We have a poster that they complete at the end. We've got a pen. We got a water bottle. All of the materials also help support and anchor the teaching. Now, I'm not saying that you have to have this like huge workbook and poster and like huge budget for creating materials for your workshop, but I kind of am. I shouldn't say huge budget, but you really should have something that's going to help anchor the teaching, and while they're writing or while they're doing an exercise, it's something tangible they can put in their hands. It's something that when they go back to their office or home, that whether it's sitting on their desk or they put it on their shelf or wherever, but when they see it, it kind of anchors this experience. It anchors the emotion and the experience that they're having in the moment of doing the exercise, that when there's something physical and tangible that they have to walk away with, it helps solidify that transformation of what they just experienced. So I do recommend having, whether it be a workbook, a binder, handouts, worksheets at a minimum, and then any other additional stuff as well. It just really helps solidify the exercise. But the more sensory involvement we can have, the more engagement from the different senses that we can have in an exercise, the more experiential it is for somebody, and the more it creates just that memory at a cellular level of what they just experienced and that transformation. So it just helps anchor the workshop. So creating now. We take it and now we look at it from a business sense. You want stuff branded. You want it to look good. You want it to have, your picture, your name, or your contact information on it. Just from a business sense, you're not only just anchoring the transformation of that exercise, but you're also anchoring, you and your brand and your company and who you are, and that you were the one that helped them get that transformation. You were a part of the journey that they're on with their transformation. So we also want that connection to us as well. Okay, so yeah, give me some, that's a good business tip, right? Okay, all right, so that was actually step one in my process. This is just kind of content. Now I kind of, how long did that take me? 20 minutes just to kind of run through that. There's obviously more in depth too as you're creating content and exercises and all that, but that's where practice comes into play too. Okay, so that was number one. Number two then in my 3-step process is to map out your day. Now, this can probably be easily overlooked and be like, okay, I'm going to do a 4-hour workshop and, we'll start at 9, we'll end at 1, 9 a.m., we'll go to 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and I'll teach that, and we just kind of throw the day together. Whereas this is, I think, it's really, really important. The timing of the day is so critical. It really is. So here's what I want you to be mindful of when you're mapping out the day. Okay, so let's say we've picked 9 to 4, 4-hour workshop, 9 a.m. start until 1 p.m. end time. What you want to be mindful of number one is you want to be mindful of breaks and food and drinks and all of that. I'm telling you, and I'm right there too. Like when I started a workshop and it's 4 hours, I'm thinking, okay, do I get a break? Are you feeding me lunch? Like, where are the bathrooms? Where's the water or the coffee in the room? People want to know this stuff. So make sure too, not only that you tell them when the breaks are and where the bathrooms are and if you're feeding them lunch or not, even if it's been outlined in the agenda you've given them, they still want to know. They still need to hear it from you. But also be mindful that certain information might be deep. It might require them to really do some self-reflection. You really may challenge them. And so be mindful of breaks and food, but also be mindful of how deep the information and the content is and how deep of a transformational experience you're creating for them, because they may need a certain amount of time to process information. They may need a certain amount of time to even just get into an experience, especially if it's requiring them to be very vulnerable. That takes time for people to really, I guess depending on your relationship with them, it takes time on how quickly they're going to be ready to be vulnerable, how quickly they're ready to just totally trust you and be transparent with what's going on for them. So the timing of your day is actually really, really important. You can't just jump into a really deep exercise until you've taken the time to really build that rapport, that credibility, that trust, and then you can go there. So now if you only have a 4-hour day, I mean, that time goes by actually really quickly. So be mindful of foods, breaks, how deep your information is, and if they need to process certain information or experiences. Know also like when you need to acknowledge them, to affirm them, to celebrate them. How often are you going to let people share? Shares, this is the thing with sharing. When you have people share in the room, I love shares. Even in this workshop that I do, there's so much sharing going on, which is, I love it because it really brings the room together. It makes the room, even if I have 200 people in the room, it makes the room feel really small and connected when people are sharing their experiences, sharing what they wrote down. But you give a microphone to somebody, you don't know how long they're going to talk for. If you allocated, okay, we're going to have 5 people share and one person takes 10 minutes, that now just cut down. You have to constantly be mindful of how you've mapped out your day, because you don't know, even though how powerful those shares are, you just don't know. Those usually, for me at least, they tend to run long because I love them so much. And if somebody is sharing, I have a hard time cutting them off. But again, when you're mapping out your day, 4 hours is going to go real quickly. And how many shares, how many exercises, how much time do they need to be celebrated and affirmed and acknowledged? And you really want to build all of that into your day, because it takes up time. Even if it's 1 minute here, 1 minute there, 1 minute there, and the next thing you know, there's 20 minutes of sharing and celebrating and acknowledging going on that maybe you didn't allocate for. So just really being mindful of how you map out your day. Now, again, let's take our example of our 9 to 1. From 9 to 1, so in this workshop, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I have handwritten in here, like how I open up the workshop. It's kind of tiny print, but it takes me close to like 10, 15 minutes just to go through. I mean, I don't read it right out of the book, but those are the points that I want to talk about in the beginning when I'm opening up. I'm just maybe sharing a story, really just starting the day off with just some high energy, making sure everybody knows when lunch is and all of that. So your introduction alone is probably going to take, at least 10, 15 minutes, if not possibly 20 minutes. So you think, okay, 9 to 1, okay, 20 minutes is already for your introduction. Then you may have like a good solid hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes of teaching, which is going to be remember, it's going to do your Peru. You're going to present, you're going to give examples, you're going to summarize and recap, and you're also going to do an exercise in there. So you think an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. I mean, you have a lot to do in that hour and 40 minutes. Then you figure you probably go on a break for 10, 20 minutes, depending on how many people you have in the room. Usually the bigger the workshop, the harder it is to get everybody back in the room in a quick, snappy fashion. So you got to take that into account. So maybe, 15, 20 minutes for a break and have them come back. Then all you have left is an hour and 20 minutes for another Peru. And then I recommend leaving at least a good 20 minutes for a proper invitation to your next program, your upsell, whatever your next step is. The death of a workshop is one and done. Never do a workshop that there's no offer or no invitation or no opportunity to keep working with you. That's the death of your business, is to do one and done. That's exhausting. It's expensive. So have built in to your workshop where it actually perfectly positions your next services, whether it be one-on-one coaching, whether it be another workshop, whether it be a mastermind group or some program or group program, whatever it is, your workshop should position what that next step is. And then you take the last 20 minutes or so, possibly even longer, to really position, really present the offer and the invitation to work with you and what they need to do and what their next steps are. You present all of that in that last 20 minutes or so. So you have a lot to do in 4 hours. Some people might think, 4 hours, what am I going to do in 4 hours? That's so much time. No, it's really not. It's really not. No, it goes by really quickly, and you have a lot to do and a lot to cover in order to make sure, again, we're seeking a transformation. We're seeking a transformational outcome. And so in order to do that truly, like properly, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that have to happen, all while, remember, being mindful of their need to process and their need to go through this journey, and how long does it take for them really to destroy their bogus stories and those false beliefs. It takes time. So again, this is all in this worksheet, this template that you're going to get. See this timeline here? I have this all mapped out for you, so you will get this example. If I'm not making sense for you right now, you're gonna get a little sample timeline, just so that you can plug in your own timeline there too. Okay, rookie mistake. Yeah, I got some hearts for that. Yeah, I know. I talk fast. I apologize for anybody if I'm talking too fast, but just know you will get the notes, so you'll have all of that. Rookie mistake, focusing on just the content, and too much content. When we're in the beginning, we're learning so much and we have so much information we want to share, but man, it really can turn that kind of your participants into that deer in the headlights look, where they're just glazed over because you're just giving them way too much content. You need to balance it out with the exercises and the examples, and getting the hands-on and getting them to engage their other senses. Here, I wrote this down. Always remember, good content isn't the key to a transformational workshop. It's the shift in the participants' beliefs and actions that will make it life-altering. So if you can suspend the need to give them all your amazing content, because I know you have lots of it, suspend the need to give them all this amazing content and really focus on how do I best shift their beliefs and their actions. I mean, at the end of the day, if you really want to create a life-altering transformational workshop, you need your people to walk out of there doing differently. And we know in order to do differently, you got to believe differently, think differently, feel differently in order to take new steps, new actions. So that's ultimately what I focus on when I'm designing a workshop, is how do I get them to have the greatest shift? And then how much content do I need to sprinkle in there to get them to that shift? So it's not even so much about the content. It's just, at a bare minimum, how much content do I need to give them so I'm the most efficient and effective in getting them that transformation. That's my number one goal. So, rookie mistake, too much content. Okay, so number one was content. What am I going to teach? Number two is timeline. What does my day look like? And then the third step to my process of creating a transformational workshop is the event planning. Now, even if you are doing a small group workshop, let's say, you have 5 or 10 people in a conference room or in your home, or if you have a big ballroom at a hotel and you have 100 or more people or 50 people, it doesn't matter. There still requires event planning to make sure that you are you are designing a day and an experience that supports the transformational shift that you're trying to create, okay? So some of this stuff, I guess, doesn't totally apply if you're doing it at your home or whatnot, but you do need to keep these in mind. And again, got the checklist. It's all right here. You're going to get it. So you're going to get it. But I'm going to read it off for you. Obviously you want to set a date. You got to pick a date, right? Date and time. Because, is it going to be 9 to 1? Is it going to be 1 to 6? So what's the date and time and duration? The venue or the location. Obviously, it's much different if you're doing it at your home or in a conference room versus like a hotel. Obviously, you need to book and secure that venue and whatever the fees are for that as well. Considering your workshop size, what are the needs? Are you going to use PowerPoint, or do you need a projector and a screen? How big is your group? Do you need, a microphone? What about a video recorder? I always recommend video recording, even if it's just, your cell phone. If you can do it, do it. I mean, at a minimum, get the audio record. At a minimum, get audio recorded. And sometimes it's just for you, but it's also great as either upsell to sell them the recording, or even just throw that in as a bonus for your clients too. Catering, okay, this is big. Again, people are serious about their food. I know I am. People are serious about their food. So be mindful of, are you going to feed them? And if so, what are you going to feed them? Okay, so again, I do this Blueprint for Success workshop. I've been doing it for over 4 years, and I love it. But it's a very deep transformational workshop, and I invest quite a bit of money in making sure my participants are fed well with a warm meal, because this is deep work. Like, it's almost like they need a little bit of that comfort food. And it's not heavy. But it's warm versus like a cold sandwich or something like that. And so again, if you look at the experience you're creating, you want your environment, the room, you want the food, the audio, you want it all to support the transformation that you're trying to create. If you are having this awesome, deep workshop, but it's like in this dingy room with poor lighting, or it's in a room where there's like a lot of traffic and a lot of noise or something, or you like serve them a cold sandwich, like, to me, that's not in alignment with the transformation you're trying to create. And so when I look at the transformation I'm trying to create, I want to create an event that supports that, and it's in alignment with that transformation. Now, it doesn't mean you need to break the budget and get like a gourmet 7-course meal. But, I have clients who, do it in their home. They might have like 5 or 10 people come to their home, and they make them a home-cooked meal and serve that for lunch. Like, I don't know if there's anything that beats a warm home-cooked meal, really. But the point is, you want your event to be in alignment with and support the transformation you're trying to create. You don't want there to be a conflict of the environment and the experience with what you're trying to create it becomes a distraction, right? Have you ever been at a really great workshop that's maybe led by a great workshop leader, but the environment, the room sucked? That's a distraction. So keep in mind, the venue, your workshop needs with audio, video, catering, or food. But also, and here's another really big part of your event planning, is your team, the team you have there. So who's at your registration table welcoming people? Who's in the back of the room just throughout the day? So if somebody has a question, that they have somebody they can go to. If you, the workshop leader, are busy, either presenting or teaching or working with clients, answering questions. Like, I feel so strongly also that your participants need to feel supported in the transformation too, where they're greeted by someone very friendly, whether at the registration table, at the door, that they are somebody that they can go to if they have a question or a need. I just think that's really, to me, that's a really important part of their experience. Again, I've been to workshops before where you can't access the workshop leader to ask a question. There's nobody else really to ask. Like, that's frustrating. It, to me, starts to get me into my head, and I'm, or, oh, well, this isn't going to work for me anyways, or, oh, what was I thinking anyway? And then those bogus stories start to come back. So making sure that you have someone in the room, or more than one person in the room that can help you support you in creating the experience you want for your participants. Now, you might also be thinking like, oh, I can't hire somebody, or I don't have, who am I going to bring? And honestly, 2 people that make really great people to bring. Well, one, if you do have like an administrative assistant, or you have an assistant, they're great. 2 is if you don't have that, just even a past client. A past client would probably love to support you, and then they get to sit in on the workshop for the day. That's great. Is your existing admin, a past client, or you can even just hire somebody for the day, maybe it's, maybe you say you pay them $50 for a couple hours or for half the day, and that they're there to greet people. They're there to be the friendly smile. They're there to, if there's somebody asks a question, that they can, kind of field questions. Give them $50, $75, $100. It's totally worth it. So those are 3 different options to making sure you have somebody in the room for the day. I say never, that's an absolute word, but I can't remember the last time that I've ever even done a speaking engagement where I didn't bring somebody with me, because I would rather pay that person a little extra money to man my table, man my booth, or woman my booth, take book orders, take program orders, answer questions, process people's credit cards and all of that, and take, schedule calls and all, somebody that can do all of that while I'm able to totally just focus on my presentation, on the people that are coming up to me and asking questions. That's where my focus, that's where I want my focus to be. So I'm gladly pay somebody else to help me out and support me for the day, to ensure that my clients can get fully me present. I mean, back in the day, I remember doing workshops or speaking engagements where I'm running back and forth in the front of the room, in the back room, I'm processing a credit card, I'm filling out a form, helping them fill out a form. Oh, that's exhausting. You're really torn. Your energy, your presence is really torn. So when you are event planning, make sure that, especially if you have, if you have over 5 or 10 people, make sure you have somebody else that can help support you throughout that day. And then last but not least, part of your event planning is just making sure you have your upsell packaged together. Right then and there in your offer, you're going to give them call to action of how to sign up for your program. Are you going to have forms that they fill out? Are you going to have them right then and there that they can, register online right at your event? Make sure your upsell process is clean. You don't want that to be clunky. So if you need forms, if you need an internet connection, you need a processor, to take payment, whatever you need, have that all set up. I've been at workshops where the hotel didn't have, had real spotty internet. And so I wasn't able to process credit cards. So always have a backup form that if your internet goes down and you can't process payments or registrations, that you do have a written form that people can fill out so that you can still get their registration, you can still get them signed up, even if your internet goes down. I've also had where I run out of books. I've sold out of my books. And so then I have extra forms for book orders if people want to order a book, and then we'll process those, ship them the book after the workshop or after the event. So just some things to be mindful of with your event planning, that you have all the materials, all the resources that you need to, yes, create the experience that's going to support the transformational shift, but also it's going to help set you up for the greatest success in continued business. Okay. So, I ran through that. 45 minutes. All right. That was a lot of content. I feel like it was a lot. Maybe it wasn't for you, but how would you think? Questions? Give me a thumbs up. Did you like that? Was that valuable to you? Let me know what you're thinking right now. So here's what I know. Here's what I know. Depending on where you are in your journey of being a workshop leader or coach or trainer, that takes quite a bit of time and energy to design. To design the content, to design the exercises and the experience, and create and brand the materials. It's expensive. It can be expensive to work with a designer and a team to really put this all together. Even just mapping out the event, okay, should this be a 1 day or a half day, or what should this look like? Should I offer lunch? Should I not offer lunch? And so for those of you who are overwhelmed at the idea of designing this yourself, I'm going to invite you. This is an invite for anybody who's interested to, you can either private message me. That's probably the best way to do this. Private message me, and if you're interested in possibly becoming one of our certified facilitators who actually runs, I actually certify people and license them to run this workshop that I've been running for 4 years. It's tried, true, and tested. I've run it for over 600 people. I've over 200 certified licensed facilitators that run this workshop, and I've done all the work for you. That's the best part about this. I've done all the work for you. I've designed it. I've laid it out. It's transformational. Many of you, I see some of you on here who are already one of my certified licensed facilitators. If you'd like to have a conversation about what that might look like, go ahead and private message me, and I'd be happy to set up a call to discuss that with you. If you kind of just want to check it out to see what it is, you can go to bfsworkshop.com. That's bfsworkshop.com. Check it out, and see if it's something that interests you. And then again, I'd be happy to set up a call with you to discuss. Or you can, if you see it and you love it and you just want to join us, we actually have a licensing workshop training that's coming up here in May 4th and 5th. So check it out if that's something that might be beneficial to you, might be a great tool to put in your toolbox. If you are interested in being a workshop leader, the great thing about this workshop that I love so much too is how I've designed it. It's really positions your next services. It positions coaching perfectly, one-on-one private coaching perfectly. It positions group coaching. It also positions, I have facilitators who run this workshop in workshop format, and that positions one-on-one coaching clients or group work afterward, a group program. But also I have clients who use this workshop, but they use it in a one-on-one format, a one-on-one coaching format. They use it in a masterclass format, like they'll take somebody through this in like a 5 or 7 week program. So anyways, there's a lot of opportunity here if you want to save yourself the hassle of designing a workshop yourself that's transformational. If you want to save yourself the hassle, the time, the energy, the money to design and brand all of that, just reach out to me. Happy to talk to you about it. Or you can just go to bfsworkshop.com and check it out. I'll put the link in this on this post as well. So I have about 10 more minutes before my client call. So if there are any questions, let me just see if I Charlotte, not BFF, BFS as in Blueprint for Success, bfsworkshop.com. Oh yeah, butterflies and fairies and flowers. That's not it. Even though I do like butterflies, fairies, and flowers, that's not the site. But happy to take some questions if there are any based off the content that I shared with you guys today. Let me know. I'm just kind of scrolling through some of these comments here to see if I missed any. Sometimes I just get into teaching mode, that this fine print. See, look at me. I'm getting old. I got to get real close. I got to get real close to see what comments there are. Let's see if I missed any. Okay. Well, look, thank you guys so much. I see a lot of just awesome. This is great. That it was valuable to you. Some thank you. So thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad that this was helpful to you. Let's see. All right. Well, I see a lot of thank you. I think Chris there took a lot of notes for me. I appreciate you, Chris. Thank you. I love that. All right. Well, thank you all again. Thank you for being amazing. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for just being purposeful in wanting to make a difference in people's lives and be that change agent for people. Our world needs it right now. So you are extremely valuable to each and every person that you come in contact with. Use your coaching skills, use your ability to create transformational change for people. That's what we're here for. So I love you. Keep chasing your dreams with passion. If there's anything else that I can do for you, you just let me know. Or earlier in case they leave early. What was that? Not sure what. Or earlier in case they leave early. Of course, I don't know what that means. Okay, everybody. Thank you. I love you. Mwah. Have a great day. Hearts, hearts. Ooh, yeah. I love all those hearts. Yay, 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 yay. All right. See ya.